Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about some things that I think need to be fixed or adjusted or something like that in the finals. I made a video about this yesterday, and then after I made the video, it hasn't released yet, but after I made the video, I kind of remembered some things that I didn't talk about. So I'm just going to make it a separate video because there are a couple of things and I didn't really want to just like put it in the comment section of that video or anything. So the first thing is the healing beam for the medium. Sometimes that's just bugged for a certain amount of players. Now this doesn't affect me, but for a certain amount of players, they'll load into a game using the healing beam as a medium and the healing beam just won't work. There's like some bug with it that's been in the game for a very long time that disallows certain players to use the healing beam. I don't know what's up with that. It doesn't really happen to me, but I'm pretty sure that that is like a known issue. So I just wanted to mention that. Obviously, it's not going to be great if you load into a game with the healing beam and then the healing beam just doesn't work and then you can't use your specialization. That's obviously not going to be fantastic. And I just thought I would mention it because I think if the devs knew about it, it would probably be fixed by now. So maybe I'll just try and like highlight it a little bit. So that's the first thing. And now a massive thing I didn't talk about yesterday that I just completely forgot to, but that I absolutely meant to talk about was the aiming in the game. So the way the aiming currently works is all of the bullets always go towards the center of the screen, regardless of where your iron sights are. And sometimes on some weapons, the iron sights aren't properly aligned with the center of the screen. And that's a huge issue because you might be aiming at someone with the AKM and maybe one of the bullets isn't in the center of the screen. So if your iron sight is directly on the enemy, it still might just not hit because maybe the iron sight isn't actually in the center of the screen, which is where the bullet's going to go. And that's obviously an awful system. So one of two things needs to happen, and that is like, so option number one is to keep the bullets going towards the center of the screen, but make it so that every gun on every shot always has their iron sights at the center of the screen so that it's actually going to be accurate. That's the first thing that can happen. And the second thing that can happen is instead of the bullets going towards the center of the screen, the bullets just go where the iron sights are. Either of those would be perfectly okay. They would both fix the issue. But it really sucks when like you're using the revolver or you're using the AKM, and because of like visual recoil or just unaligned iron sights, you miss a couple of shots that you really think should be hitting. So those two things do need to be fixed for sure as well. Well, one of those needs to happen, and like the aiming in general just needs to feel consistent. Now, something I've seen a lot of people talk about as well is when you place something, the cooldown for that something starts after you place it and not after it's been destroyed. And I know a lot of people want that fixed. So for example, if you're playing Power Shift, the new 5v5 game mode, and you're playing medium and maybe you pop on the APS turret, you can kind of make this a little overpowered. So you can pop this down in the middle of the platform, start your cooldown. I don't know how long the cooldown is, but let's say it's like a 20-second cooldown. So you place it, you start the cooldown, someone destroys the APS turret, and then you like immediately have another one ready to go. So it gets destroyed, you just place another one down, and then your 20-second cooldown starts again. And then someone has to destroy it again. So it's kind of created a thing where they might have to destroy something twice before it's actually gone, or before you're unable to place another one. And I think what a lot of people want to happen is the cooldown starts after it's destroyed, which I think does make sense. And I guess it would be the same for like the Guardian turret. So if you've got the Guardian turret and the APS turret, and you place both of these, and you wait like 30 seconds for them both to be back up, both of these can be destroyed, and then you're like just instantly going to be able to place two more, as far as I'm aware. And I think that it would be a good idea to change this so that once one of these has been destroyed, maybe not the Guardian turret because it's a specialization, but the APS turret for sure, it should be changed that once this is destroyed, that's when the cooldown starts. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about that. I don't really know about mines. I think it's kind of okay for mines to have cooldown after they've been placed. I think it's okay to place them instantly again, because right now, as it is, mines just suck. And I would have talked about that in my video yesterday a little bit. But I think it's okay for like mines. Maybe it makes sense for... No, I think it makes sense as it is for jump pad and zipline as well, because they're just not really going to get destroyed a whole lot. But certainly for the APS start, maybe for some other things that I'm not thinking of right now, but certainly for the APS start, I think it would make sense for this to have a cooldown, not when you place it, but once it's been destroyed, so that you can't instantly place another one. There is also a bug that I haven't seen talked about a whole lot, but it's happened to me, I think, once this season. So very, very not so frequently, but it did happen once, where after I respawned or something, I couldn't shoot. And this used to be a bug that was in the betas, and I think it was in Season 1 a little bit, and then it was, like, kind of removed, but I did encounter it once this season, where after I got revived, or after I coined or something, I don't quite remember, I just couldn't shoot my weapon, and there was nothing I could do to fix that. So I think that bug has been, like, mostly removed, but I think there is still something that triggers it a little bit, so I just wanted to mention that as well. Now, I don't think I talked about this in yesterday's video either, but I think things should be nerfed and buffed a little bit more lightly, especially nerfed more lightly, because historically every time something's been nerfed in this game, it's just got nerfed into the absolute ground, like 6 feet underneath. It just got killed off. And I think that's bad. I think you can nerf stuff lightly. I think it's very okay to nerf stuff lightly. So an example of something that got nerfed into the ground, C4. No one uses C4 anymore. Everyone uses barricades now because C4 was just killed. You used to have 2 of them, and I think they did more damage or had like a bigger radius or something like that. Now you only have 1 of them. I think they've got a faster cooldown, and they do less damage. And also, like, now you can't put mines on barrels. You can't put C4 on barrels. Like, you can, but it just does much, 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 much less damage. And you get diminishing returns for everything you put on a barrel and then try and blow the barrel up. And I get where Bark was going with that. I think that was okay. But, like, the C4 was nerfed into the ground. The flamethrower, back in, like, the betas or something, the flamethrower was, like, okay. It was very, very okay. I think people back then didn't know about the SA-1216. I think I always kind of said that the SA-1216 was better. And it was only this season that the SA-1216 got nerfed. But the flamethrower used to be, like, much better, which I think was fine, because it's, like, a close-range weapon. You sacrifice a lot to be able to make the flamethrower work, and now it's, like, okay. So that also got nerfed into the ground. It's okay now, because, like, everything else also got nerfed. So that got nerfed into the ground. The SA-1216, really don't think you're going to see a whole lot of people running this now. Very, very heavily nerfed. I think if you're going to run a shotgun, you probably go for the KS-23, even though it's a little bit harder to use. And if you want a close-range weapon, you'd probably just go for the flamethrower. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to use the SA-1216. I think there's only a couple of examples of things getting nerfed and still being used. I think, like, the only example of that is the LH1, because in one of the betas it had like 20 bullets in the mag and much less visual recoil, and then it was nerfed. And now it still packs quite a bunch. You just have to get over the visual recoil, which is kind of hard to do. And there's also the FCAR, which was nerfed recently, and that was just the visual recoil nerf. And I talked about, you know, the visual recoil and recoil nerfs and all that kind of thing in yesterday's video, so I'm not going to get back into that. But I think, excuse me, I think those are the only 2 examples of things getting nerfed and then still being, like, kind of usable. I think, for the most part, when stuff's got nerfed in the past, they've kind of been nerfed into the ground, especially with weapons. I think the gadgets have been kind of okay. I think recently the glitch grenade was nerfed from like 10 seconds to 5 seconds duration, and I think that's very okay. But I would just be careful of how weapons are being nerfed, because sometimes they get nerfed really a lot. So like the C4 is one example. The mines, I think whatever like radius thing was nerfed on the mines a while ago, just killed off mines. Like, you really don't get a whole lot of kills with mines anymore. They're just super, super, super inconsistent. I'm rarely killed by mines. I'm rarely even blown up by mines. They just don't seem to do a whole lot. The C4, obviously, the flamethrower back in the day, SA-1216 kind of recently. Yeah, I would just be careful of nerfing stuff, like, too heavily. And also, back in the betas, everything was stronger. Like, the SA-1216 was obviously super strong up until recently. The flamethrower was stronger. I don't know about anything else. The KS-23 used to be stronger as well. I mean, it used to do more damage. I think the FCAR used to be stronger. Just lots of stuff used to be stronger. And I think it's probably good to, like, you know, try and balance stuff not only by nerfing, but also by buffing. Like, very, very, very few things have been buffed. Like, there's not a whole lot of things that have just got like a straight buff compared to the start of the beta. So like at the start of the betas, there were a couple of strong things, but most of it was nerfed. There was nothing else that was buffed, you know, and I think that's probably not fantastic. I think the CL-40 got a little buff at some point to do slightly more damage. The Riot Shield hasn't got any buffs, I'm pretty sure, and it's like one of the least used weapons in the game, I think. Is there anything here? Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of those were changed, actually, so maybe what I'm saying here isn't so true about the nerfs and buffs thing. But anyway, I just think that when changing a weapon, when a weapon is too strong or something, I think it's very okay to nerf it lightly, because right now, you're really not going to see a whole lot of SA-1216 users in the game, and the Heavy doesn't have so many options, you know? I think it's probably good to try and keep as many options good as possible, so that there's more, like, diversity in the game, so that, like, there's more of a everything's an A-tier meta instead of some things being S-tier, you know? I think that's just going to be better for the game, and the way that happens is, like, you nerf stuff lightly, and you buff stuff lightly to try and balance everything out. But I don't think that's what's been happening for some of the weapons on certain occasions, so I would just beware of that. Yep, I think that's pretty much it, though. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to just put it in, like, the comment section of the other video, though, because there was a couple of things here that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, so there you go. I haven't, so as I said before, though, I haven't released the other video yet. That's releasing today, and this one is going to release tomorrow at the time of recording. So I might wait to see if anyone says anything different in the comments, and then if enough people say stuff in the comments about like some other issues or some other thoughts or something, then maybe I'll make another one of these videos. But I also just might not. But if there's like enough stuff in the comments like, hey, this is a bug, this thing doesn't work, or like this zipline doesn't work on this map or something like that, then maybe I'll make another video. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.